George, we've done it. Oh, I really, really want to reiterate how beautiful that sweater is. Like, I don't even like sweat. I'm not a sweater person. I'm not a sweater girl. It's giving me everything that I love. What's Blue from Blue's Clues? She has a
Steve,
sister.
yes. I'm like trying to look up the name right now. Rosa Lundberg. Rosa Lundberg. The sister. I don't know her name off the top of my head. I'm so sorry. I'm a bad millennial. I'm so sorry. Yes, no, absolutely. Yes. Thank you. No, it's honestly, I was like, I remember getting it. So it was like in the time when it was turning where my daughter was like, I am a princess. And we've raised her very like gender neutral, very, and she's like, I love pink. I love purple, possibly, mostly pink. I want color. I want princesses. I want crown. And I was like, wow, okay. And I was like getting out of postpartum slump, and I remember being like, I just need some new clothes. Like maybe I need to wear some more colors. Good morning. And then there's this local little new shop that popped up, and it's like a 21-year-old designer, and it literally looked like just bright colors and fun and pattern. And I was like, I gotta do it. And so I had my daughter pick out a sweater, and of course she said pink. And so this was it. Good morning, Celine.
We will be talking about Happy Time Zone.
Wherever it finds
um,
you, happy time zone. I love that.
I have some changes that are going to be happening as it relates to time,
Speaking of, yeah,
because it
shout
is
out.
incredibly early for some of you. Um, Looks very still. Don't say that because you could. No, I think it's giving frozen.
Like in demeanor, I can actually see you perfectly fine. Oh, yikes. I'm sorry if so, Celine. I'm really sorry. We battled a little bit with tech for like 10 minutes before this. So let it go. Yeah, I was like, hopefully we let it go. No.
Is this our ATL question? I don't think that's a question for us.
Get in the game. I was like, Houston, because of Beyonce, but other than that,
Yeah. I. Oh, I'm back. Thank God. Okay. Hey guys. So now that we are gathering, the we would like to, if you can open up, it's going to be helpful for you guys to do so. You also don't feel pressure to do so for the free checklist that we have. Link is in the description. We are on point number, what is it, two, three?
place. Yeah.
We are living in right now, but that we have moved to in the past. Some of the requirements that we had for picking a place and then kind of encouraging conversation between not just us, but like also you guys. To think about what are some of the qualities that you look for in the in the place that you would like to move to. Oh, Destiny's Child. I think I told you this, but Destiny's Child was the first CD I ever bought. Survivor.
Like, what was my first CD? If anybody knows their first CD, actually drop that in the chat. How it relates to the where you're going to live abroad, we can't tell you yet, but drop it in the chat. Maybe we can see if we can find some connections. Community, I love that. And also, yes, as Shayna said, we will be chatting. We've kind of made the schedule to chat about the recent Substack posts that we've put out. And so again, this one is on point number 2 about how to pick your place. So if you hadn't had a chance to read it yet, definitely you can read it after the conversation. If you've had a chance to read it, we're going to kind of go off of some of those things mentioned in the newsletter, of course, being like some of the things that were on our list, but also trying to help with the exercise that we put at the bottom, which is like getting you close to and ready to, create that must have. We call it the living abroad must have list, and borrowing from the stuff that maybe you related to from our list. Maybe there was things that were completely opposite. For example, Shayna's like, I want to be in warm weather. I want to live in sun in summer all year round. And I love that. And it's so funny because as someone who grew up in that in California, I'm like, I love that. Like, trust me, I love it. But I personally craved somewhere that had seasons that like felt a little bit cozy, that had like a distinct change. So I just even think that like that difference in us is just exciting and fun to see, but also good to think of, right? These are the things that a lot of people don't think of as like, yeah, but what if I could pick what type of temperature do I want to be? Do you know that's a whole other thing of lifestyle too, is like how much winter clothes are you packing, or are you just packing bikinis, right? Both a metal and Christian CD. Yeah, you better work. Hillary Duff. Yes, yes, Benny.
Survivor was definitely my first CD. Afterwards, immediately was 3LW. Those who know. Um, and then my it was a lot of like Hillsong in my house. I know I'm in recovery. I'm in recovery. I don't mind Kirk flashbacks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3LW just took me back. Put that on my list. Must have access to 3LW.
Alternate between. Wish I wish I knew tech wise what was going on. So sorry, guys. Yeah.
I know we're working across miles and time zones, but I feel like this should be figured out at this point. Scientists, tech. Sorry. Hi, Carrie.
It was giving. Yes. Thank you. And good day, everyone. Thank you. Jeez. I feel like there's been a lot of like, huh?
Side note, other notes I'm putting in. Anyway, we're back.
Abroad are requirements for the places that we're open to move to. I am now trying to remember what I wrote. uh, it would be, yeah, yeah.
In the discussion, in the conversation, you can already have your list out possibly. Maybe you're already creating yours, which is super exciting. And while we go through ours, you can be like, ooh, yeah, I also share that want that Shayna had, or ooh, yeah, that one that Candace mentioned is something I didn't think of. So you can kind of use ours to start your list, or even to the other part, say like, oh no, I don't want that, right? And build your list from there. Yeah, I know we reset like twice. It's annoying that it's, but if it's crazy, let us know, please. Because then we will look into it. If it's like impossible to understand us, then we'll try to reset again maybe. But we'll start with Shayna's list. So this is Shayna's list for living abroad must-haves. Was to She wanted to live somewhere that had warm weather or has warm weather all year round, no winter, she said. Live a place that's walkable and or has good public transportation. Famously, she hates driving. Um, Speaking English or Spanish as a common language. We love a bilingual diva. Has a hospital with strong neurology department and has specialists for my autoimmune disease, Shayna's autoimmune disease, um, where Shayna could afford to pay for the medical treatments that she needs, where she's close to an international airport and where she has a thriving hospitality scene and culinary culture. Um, Shayna, do you want to add any coloring to those selections?
Yes. So, as somebody, I'm kind of going to go through and add a little bit more nuance to all of these things. What is it called? Seasonal something depressive disorder, SAD. Thank you. Seasonal affective disorder. The winter sad times. I grew up experiencing that, and I did not know what was happening to me during the winter time, every winter time, until I moved out and I spent my winter in Mexico. The first time I left the United States, I was living in Mexico, and I moved during the winter, like before winter hit. And I was like, oh my God, I'm emotionally regulated the entire time. I never want to experience the I never want to experience that nonsense again. So that is a huge thing for me. And one of the, not the biggest thing, but one of the really big things why I was like, I can't live in Spain either. Because the way that their winters are, it's very different than it is like in the New York City area. You're not going to get the snow. You're not going to get like the frigid cold, but you are going to get the, it's starting to creep in Virginia. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like I can't do that. I mean, I can if I have to, but like I would like to be emotionally regulated all year round, which comes with consistently warm weather. And with consistently warm weather, you're generally going to be more in like a tropical, subtropical climate, which automatically brings the kinds of like fruits and vegetation that my body is craving. Like when I did not have access to mangoes, when I did not have access to fresh watermelon, when I did not have access to rambutan, when I did not have access to lychee, the way that my body just, I just got so sad. My inside emotionally got so sad. And so the warm weather thing, being somewhere warm fixes all of that. It's like, boop, one thing that knocks everything else out. Um, Walkable with good public transportation. Yes, I do despise driving. I took forever to get my driver's license because I despise driving. I had to get it because all I'm saying is I am excited to visit you when it is warm. That's all I'm saying. I know. I oh
Oh, come over and we'll go through it. We'll go through it.
tend to be more accessible also. You're going to get more ramps, you're going to get more escalators, you're going to get more things that allow for people of different mobility levels to be able to navigate a city. I think that's one of the things that's a little bit of a bummer about Bangkok for me. It is technically, it's walkable in the sense where things are very close together. There's a lot of things that are close together, but when it comes to walkability, sidewalks are not the greatest if there's even a sidewalk. Um, there and maybe there's like other parts of the city where things are spaced out a little bit more. And like the city is huge. The city is huge. So but where I am, which tends to be where a lot of the internationals are for right now, it's not incredibly walkable. Um, but great public transportation. So I'm like, okay, that well, at least one of these things. English or Spanish, I like those languages. Those are fun languages to me. Uh, and the ones that I have a better grasp on. Was I fluent in Spanish before I moved to a Spanish speaking country? No. But I knew that I wanted to become as close to fluent as possible. So, is there I will get to that question. I will not lose it. I promise, Serenity. Um, yeah, so being able to be somewhere where I either knew the language or it was a language that I was excited or open to learning was a very big thing for me. As somebody, next point, as somebody with an autoimmune situation that is based in like, it's a neurological autoimmune disease, finding my hospital was a big thing before I moved anywhere, before I even contemplated move moving anywhere. Got to figure out, okay, where medically I got to make sure that I'm sound. If you don't have a pre-existing condition, if you are not disabled, if you then you don't necessarily have to worry about that. Every country will every city will have a hospital. Oh, wait, let me finish my thought and then don't lose it. wait, wait. I'm gonna lose the thought. I'm so sorry. Please keep it. Keep it. Um, yeah, you will be able to find a hospital, but when it comes to specializations, that's a thing that you're really going to want to make sure that you have locked down. Connect with the hospitals. They tend to be, especially outside of the United States, in my experience, maybe not every country, but the ones that I've moved to, they've been very responsive when it comes to answering questions, setting up a call, answering when it comes to prices and stuff like that. Make sure that those things are established at least a little bit before you move. Yes.
And it's not really on our list. I wonder where it would be, Shayna, but like just getting clear about what medical support you will get in another country. If we are talking to women and femmes, look at how your accessible your hormones are going to be, your birth control, all of your like this is a part that we need to look at and things are changing. So I just also want to say health. It's not like one specific part of our list, but I think it fits within this is like what are your non-negotiables and everybody has some type of, health regimen or at least and I think that needs to be a part of the checklist to mention is like okay, what am I working with? What are my basic medicines maybe even if it isn't part of a what are my basic medicines? How can I get it? Are there alternatives abroad? All of that, how accessible, how expensive, like looking into those things as well. Lady products, exactly, like, just looking at how that can go and whatever you're needing, just making sure that's also available in the countries that you're looking at. I'll put that as a note.
Like that, you will be able to find those. The prices might vary depending on what country that you're in, but when it comes to things that are a little bit more specific, like the hormones, like the medications, that's going to be that's where you're really going to want to do your research before you make your big move. Even when it comes to the culture around these kinds of things, because there's going to be menstruating people in every country. But when it comes to like gay rights, queer rights in different countries. That's going to affect access to different kinds of medications, regardless of if you are or are not queer. So important, which is why we try to make this as intersectional as possible because it affects everybody. So, yes, lovely tangent, by the way. Um, yeah. Um, and the first few seconds cut off when you both speak. I don't know there's nothing, I don't know what else to do. We've turned the video on and off a bunch of times before. I don't, yeah. For a lot of medical professionals, they learn their degrees in English. That's probably not uncommon. Some of those, yes, yes. In my experience, even the countries that I've moved to where English was not the predominant language, the medical professionals, if they did not speak English, there was somebody within the facility that speaks English. Translators generally were, especially when it comes to like the Romance languages or more like common languages, French, English, Spanish, potentially Portuguese, Italian, like though there will be translators in hospitals generally. Um, Okay, to move on, along with finding a place where you can get your medical stuff taken care of, you need to make sure that you can pay for it, generally out of pocket if you have a pre-existing condition. Um, there are some places where, I mean, generally having like local health insurance is going to be very helpful and very, very, very affordable. I want to drill that home. Very affordable outside of the United States. But for any additional medical care that you might need, that will be paid out of pocket. And it's likely going to be incredibly affordable. Like, I am able to pay for my autoimmune upkeep, which involves infusions, medications, uh, like labs, all of that. I am able to pay for that out of pocket without being concerned. I'm talking, depending on the thing, $70, $150, $300, depending on what the thing is, as opposed to thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars in the United States. And these were all things that I was able to get numbers on before I moved here because of the conversation I had with my now primary she's not a primary caregiver because she's my neurologist, but like she's the doctor that I go to on a consistent basis. But there are ways to find that out before you move, and you don't have to pay money for that. Next, I need to live near an international airport. One thing about me, I'm on a plane. One thing about me, I'm going somewhere. One thing about me, it's also my job to travel. And you know what? I think it was you who said it, who was like, Shayna, I really appreciate how when you say one thing about me and then you list several things about you. Was that-
Tell you one more thing, and then I'm off for 35 minutes. But I'm like, oh, and then I'll end it. This is my favorite. All that to say, like, bitch, you were just talking for 2 hours. What are you talking about? All that to say, if you could have just said that. Anyway, we're back. Um, no, but I actually had to say all of that to get to here. You're welcome. Back to your list.
I don't want to have to break my neck to get to and from an international airport. I don't want to have to like spend an obscene amount of money to get to and from. I don't want to be on the road for hours and hours to get to the international airport. So close enough makes my life easier. And then has a thriving hospitality scene and culinary culture, both because I'm a be eaten. I'm a eat and I'm a drink. And because it's my job to write about the hospitality scene and the nuances of different culinary cultures. So if I could do that within my new home, absolutely. So yes, please continue. What is your
Oh, did you hear me? Oh no, I was just, no, no, but I think Serenity was just saying one of their main things was community as well, and you're like, oh, I'll get back to that. Oh yes, yes.
different experiences, but I think this is a pretty common experience for people in, I can't say for all of Thailand because I'm just based in Bangkok and I haven't had the chance to explore other regions, other major cities yet. But Bangkok as the capital, big city, a lot of people here, a lot to do, a lot of opportunities to meet people also between meetup groups or like if we can get ClassPass to sponsor us at some point, the way I am all up in ClassPass, that is a whole other conversation. But there's all of these different apps and meetups and classes and like there's all these ways to meet people that you can have a common interest with. And that's how I've been making a lot of my friends. Like I am busy, not just with work, but also with hanging out with folks. Like I did a yoga class yesterday. Then I bonded with the teacher because she's the same teacher that I had from before. And then she introduced me to another girl that was in the same class who happens to be from the New York area. She's first gen also. And she was like, oh my God, girl, you seem like such a vibe. Are you doing anything this week? I was like, actually, this week is going to be a little bit crazy, but I can make time for you. So we're going to be going and getting lunch tomorrow. Like, it's so easy. It's so easy.
So it's kind of, but are there more activities and stuff, right? I feel like now we don't have it here, I think, in Denmark yet. So I know, I know. Hey, hmm they have it in other places in Europe, just like not randomly Denmark said no. We'll do our pure gym and that's it. I'm like, oh no.
It's not just fitness classes. Like you can get your oh, also I got my nails done. Look at them. Look at how cool they are. Oh my god. Oh my god. So like I will absolutely yes. Y'all don't even want to know. Y'all don't even want to know how much these were done for. But you could get your nails done, you could get pedicures, manicures, massages, you can go to like the list, you can get fresh pressed juices, you get smoothies, you get matchas, you could get like the list goes on. And thank you, Gwen. Yeah, yeah. I feel like she has evolved. I feel like she has evolved. Um, but yeah, okay. I'm just gonna tell you the price real I was going to tell you, okay, I'm just going to have you, I want you to know that clearly all of these were done by hand. The woman who did this is an absolute angel. Converted to USD, $15. Obviously tipped her too. Like this, it's the little things. It's the little things when it comes to moving abroad that just scratch the back of my ear. Mm. But yes, so those were my list of what I wanted from where I wanted to move to. So that way I could narrow down. Girl, you need a room. Yeah, so those were my list of like things that I wanted from where I was moving to that helped me to narrow down and push away the places that were not going to fit for me. Like I couldn't live in Norway. I know that about myself. And that's fine, and that's fine. I can't live in a rural area.
Because they're Scandinavia. I'm just like, okay. It's like sibling rivalry. Um, it's very cousin energy, honestly. But yeah, and also in the meantime, if for any of y'all that are joining, we are sharing our kind of living abroad must-haves list. Please, if you have any yourselves, I know people have already been sharing, but drop them below if you have any, again, that you share with Shayna, that you share with me. We'll keep the conversation going. If you, of course, if you have any questions. Oh, that's Scotland. I still need to go. I've heard incredible things about Scotland. Now the whiskey. Maybe I'll be there soon. Um, I'm also open to now Netherlands was my second. I'll say that. Netherlands was my second and like Bruges specifically in Belgium was like my third. If I like when I was like kind of narrowing things down, I was like Den Haag outside of Amsterdam. Now Amsterdam's cute, but Den Haag, like The Hague outside of the Netherlands is very cute and honestly very similar. I feel like to where I am now in Denmark. Just throwing things out, just random throwing things out. Okay,
At this point in your like moving abroad journey, the men, the kilts, the thighs. One thing about me, I appreciate a man with big thighs. I appreciate it. Yes, yes, they do. They're large ones. They're large ones. Objectively, I appreciate it. To objectify, I appreciate it. Um, and so for this one, we're talking about like the qualities and places that we're in that we individually are looking for in order to find a place, which is the next step to move abroad to. So when you find a place that has all the qualities and what you're looking for, then you can narrow it down to the place. So I just went through my list of the qualities that I'm looking for. So please, Candace, if you can share.
I think three or four. Once you get to visas, sometimes the world will narrow down your list. We'll just say that. We'll just say that. You are responsible for building the list and then circumstances will narrow it down sometimes for you. So we'll get to there. But okay, so for my list, this is fun to kind of think of because again, like I wrote in my piece, I kind of slowly built my list as I was afforded to like travel abroad. And I know that's a huge luxury that I was like able to be in these places and I did a lot of like short form tours where I got to, there was one where I did like 12 different countries in like 21 days or something. So I got to like, now that's not doing like deep, deep research, but I got to like tap into places that then I traveled later and spent a week or spent a weekend and was like exploring. So I was able to build the list. But from there, I knew that a place I wanted to live, um, I wanted to have distinct change of seasons. After living in Paris for the first year and like experiencing a winter and experiencing like a spring after that, I was like, this is kind of cute. And now living in a place like that, again, I was raised in California, so I experienced the sun all the time. I experienced like going to Palm Springs and going to LA and going to the beach and going to San Diego and like having that all the time. So I wanted that difference. And it's just like there's something so fun that the whole country kind of goes, all right, it's hard right now. Let's all just slow it down. It's winter. Let's get our cozy clothes on. Let's do different activities. Let's have different foods, like all of that stuff. I love that. Um, but I also wanted a country that was no more than 10-hour time zone difference between like wherever I was from California. I lived in Australia for a bit and 14 hours, I think it was. It was just. So I knew if I could get closer to California, that maintaining those relationships wasn't gonna be such a pull. I would really appreciate that. Are there any questions? Let me see. So hard. Yeah, yeah. You gave a great weird questions, but Tyler Niv is out temporarily taken note. Huh. I don't know about that one. I'll keep that for you, Shayna. You think on that one. Um, I wanted to live in a country, where I was close to a body of water. Great. I want to be by water. If anybody saw the little exercise I gave in the newsletter, which definitely go to it, hopefully will help you to start building that list. But kind of going through like imagery and being like, where do you want to wake up? Like, where do you feel the best? For Shayna, she was like, I like having these different types of fruits and these different nourishments, and I like having the warm weather, and I like how my body feels and all of that stuff, right? And I'm like, I need to be by water. I need to be able to take a nature walk and hear the waves, even if it's a lake. Like, that's just something I've learned about me. It's like the one constant thing that has grounded me where I'm like, I need to be close to water. Mind you, I'm a Californian who's like never surfed in her life, but I still need to be adjacent to water, even if it's a pool. I'm like, I need to be by a body of water. Maybe it's my Cancer moon, whatever. Um, is it my Cancer moon? It probably is. And it probably is, but there's something comforting. Public transportation, easy, affordable. I like a road trip. Life is a highway. I don't like to need to drive. And so I was like, I love, again, when I was living abroad, I was like, I loved being able to be like, oh, let me just sit at the stop and see when the bus is going to take me. And also the vibes of like walking places and taking public transportation when it's like you're 2 minutes late, you're just like, oh, the bus is late, be there in 3 minutes. And people are like, I understand, it's okay. Like it's just so much more relaxed than than when you're in the car and you feel like you can control it. I don't know. But I just love that I can walk. I walk 60% of the time now, or I bike the other 30%. And I honestly just take public transportation 10% of the time. I usually am walking or biking, and it's amazing. I do not miss my car unless we're going to IKEA. Um, Very important for me to live in a country that there was a strong international community. From me as a person, always wanting to be surrounded by international and like open-minded people, but also just that's my study, that's my space, that's what I'm interested in, that's who I am as an international. So I just wanted to have that strong international community. I didn't want to be anywhere where I felt like the only American or even just like the only outsider in that space. I was just like I would drive myself crazy, or they would drive me crazy. um I want to be in a place that there is affordable social and healthcare. So, healthcare, of course, accessible, affordable, but the social care too is something I didn't think of later. Is like, again, like mental health. How do we see that? How do we see just health in generals? Are there lots of gyms? Is there green spaces? Are there events, community events that like are there social services? Like those types of things. I also, and that's a good point where like I didn't think about this until later in my moving abroad stuff, but that is something to Serena's point of like having community. And if you can't immediately get community, are there programs in that country? Are there groups? Are there those types of activities that can make it easy? like a class pass or whatever to build community while you're there. Um, now, yeah, go. I was gonna yeah.
Certain kinds of not just city. Sometimes cities, sometimes countries, but certain kinds of locations create spaces for that kind of social care more organically and easily than other spaces. And I'm trying to figure out what the through line is. Like, what is in the same way where when I was saying, like, I wanted a warm place, and because I want a warm place, I know that the fruits are going to be like what I need. I know that, like, it's a thing that connects it all. And I'm like, because in Thailand, this is a very, and I don't know if it's everywhere, but definitely in Bangkok, the community care is so present. And businesses on an individual level are doing it, conglomerates are doing it, like neighborhoods are doing it. Like there's so many different activations for people to create community. Like there's a spot that I frequent every now and then, and I think it's once a month or once every 2 months, they bring in refugee owned businesses and they just shut down the entire place. And then everybody that like has a stall, you vacate your stall, and then refugee owned businesses come in, and then they're able to sell their wares, to sell their food, so that way people can get introduced to the food from other nations, and then they get to share a little bit about their story. But that happens all over the city, and I'm like, that, yeah.
That we're thinking about hosting our Halloween party at, which I'm like obsessed with. But there's this local cafe. They do a bunch of activism, and like I think it's all volunteer based. It's one of like six I can name that are like volunteer based cafes. There's cafes that are run by blind people or people with visual impairments. There's cafes run by people with certain disabilities, with like workers. Like a lot of, or they are doing programs where they can make different assets, make different arts that can be sold and then used for charity. Like there's so much charitable businesses in the city I live in that, yeah, do local cultural nights and have different people come in, and they won't even have just like people come in and make the food, but they'll have the people train their kitchen to help them create the meal. And they'll do it for like a whole week where they're like, okay, this is the test kitchen and we're doing Ethiopian food. Um, and I don't know if it's the international community. That's like in my sense, it feels like the international community is a tie to it. I also think, speaking in Denmark, quite simply, it seems like they care about the people. And I know that's so like, okay, but like truly they care about each other. They have a deep level of trust in the community, so much so that people leave their things out, people leave stuff unlocked. Like, not saying but like there is just this sense of trust. And I do think I forget if I've mentioned on one of these calls, but there's this cultural kind of principle called Jontelon in the Scandinavian countries, actually, which basically translates to like, you shouldn't act better than anybody else. And I talk about this a lot culturally because it sometimes, I've noticed for my Danish friends, it also prevents them from like having a good, like this type of confidence in themselves, because they're like, well, I'm not better than anybody else, which is great, but also then they won't be able to say how good they are in general. um all that to say, I think, and I've had discussions about it on my TikTok and different stuff, where Danes will be like, yeah, like we've learned that the lawyer is no better than the maid, because the lawyer could be able to do what they do if they didn't have someone cleaning their home. Like they don't have that type of connection with celebrity, and all that to say is like seeing people above a certain amount, whether they have a certain car or um a certain bank account or whatever. And so I think that when you ask that question, I think about Denmark. I think it's those things. I think that there's a strong international community, at least where I live. I think there's a deep trust with the people in the government here. And I think from that, people are wanting to help, and because they all have support, nobody's like competing. There's not that much competition to prove that I'm better than you, and so I have to show that. They're like, everybody should have space, everybody should have space to be safe, everybody should have space to like represent themselves and feel like the basic care. And so it's very simple, and very like streamed down, but like, yeah, I don't know. That's such a good question. I wonder where that sense of uplift comes from. No, sorry.
But English was well received and integrated.
I could learn a different language. I took French, but then I was like, I know French was just I think this experience came from me being in Paris and I was like, I know French with my minor. And I got there and everybody's like, please stop speaking French, American. Pugh. I was like, ah. And so I know some people learn language by like, hey, you're in the fray, you have to learn. AKA my partner, who again, he had like two languages already before he got to French, but he still could speak French. And he was like, boop, I'm in, like, I got it. Da, 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 da. Bye, sleeping Kirby. And I was just like, that whole sink or swim attitude. And because I will say specifically the Parisians, they're like, please don't hurt yourself. If they can understand English, they're like, don't ruin our language with your pronunciation. I was always like, y'all are intense. So I knew the next place. I was like, I want a foreign language. I just don't want to have to speak it to make my way around. I want English to be comfortable enough that like I can comfortably learn a language and express myself. I'm also a writer. So I feel like if when I can't express myself in another language, it drives me crazy, which is why I salute bilingual. If you know many languages, like, you are a goddess in my eyes, truly. So yes, I wanted a foreign language, but I wanted English to be well received because also ended up being my bag because I'm a native English speaker in a country that does not have native English. If anybody's a writer or a speaker just thinking about these things, native English and global English is still an asset. Um, to my list, I did not want to live somewhere that I was going to get bored or burnt out from the city. Again, I'm very much in the mediums. I experienced this bored living in like a small town or an expected town or somewhere where there wasn't much. Like, I love a cute country living moment, but I need some excitement at one point. I need to be able to like go off and do something. I want there to be events that call to me. And like, if I leave my home, there to be something to do. But I also don't want to be burnt out. Like, Paris was too much for me. Even Austin, Texas, loved living in Austin during my mid 20s, but like too much for me because every time I was like, I just want a nap. They're like, well, Drake's playing outside and there's five more concerts and there's an art exhibit. And I was like, oh my gosh, let me rest. Y'all, I was just at a freaking rooftop bar till 4 a.m. Let me rest. Um, but no, so I wanted a good pace of a city. Yes, please do. Love to visit. This is why I want to travel there. Will I live there? No, baby. No, baby. My nervous system? No.
I understand the pace of this city in a way that is so intrinsic because the way that the city functions, I feel like my 14 streams of thoughts and consciousness are I'm just like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. And I'm tired. Like it's but like I'm tired when it's nighttime. And then I wake up the next morning, I was like, adventure today. All right, where are we going? Bing, 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 bing. Like
Don't talk to me, don't perceive me for at least a week. Tuck me into the same pajamas, roll me into a ball, and let me just reincarnate into a person that has that energy again. So I need to like, but I'm going to love going to Bangkok. Like, I love visiting Paris. I would love, oh my God, Austin. I would love to anytime drop into Austin. It's amazing. Now, that's where I think people, again, picking your place, it's not a place, it can be a place you want to visit, absolutely. But also thinking ahead to what place do I want to live? Right? And sometimes, like for me, I knew because of that, and I trusted myself. I was like, I don't want to go to Copenhagen. I want to go to a city that is basically Copenhagen light, let's be honest. But we have our Copenhagen and Aarhus. We have our own culture, but like Aarhus is, I love that you represented it. You're like, Bangkok is my internal speed. Like, I feel like Aarhus is my internal speed, where At any point, I could go down to the water and sit there for an hour and see 3 more people also just sitting there, vibing, staring at the water for an hour. And then I can go into the city and see some people crushing beers at 2 p.m. And I'm like, love that. Then there's an international trivia night, there's this, and then I walk home through the forest, quiet, everybody polite, everybody like it's very much that pace where I'm like, I can find what I need when I want it.
There's so much to do, there's so much to see, there's so much to experience. Like, people have lived here for years and have barely scratched the surface of the city. And like, I feel that, and it inspires me and it excites me. And I'm also like, you know what? I'm go, 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 go. I need a massage. And then like the level of wellness culture that is here, like you could just go, 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 ping, 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 ping. And then it's like, you know what? I need a spa day. And then you like walk into what looks like a mini, you walk through like a door that you think is just one door, and then it opens up into a mini mall and it looks kind of decrepit inside. Then you go up 4 flights of stairs and you knock on a door, and then it opens up to another mini mall. Then you walk through a hallway, and then you by like another door, and then all of a sudden there's like a 5 floor sauna, and then you could just vibe there. But it's kind of like you kind of have to know where you're going. It's an adventure to get, huh?
At the exit. And that's the American of me. I'm like, how do I get out though? I know I should be relaxed after this massage, but how do I get out? No, but I do love that where it's like, yeah, that's also something of the cultural bit is like, is there a culture of wellness in there? Like, is there a culture of food, wherever? A lady in Sweden told me Denmark is not a safe place for African Americans, but you seem to be thriving. You know what? Here's the thing though. First of all, Sweden and Denmark famously hate each other, so it could be slander. Um, because also Sweden hasn't been great with African Americans lately too. But no, they everybody has their thing, and I will say I can't speak to every single African American here. I can speak to, and also all of Denmark is different from the two major, most international cities of this country, right? So I think there can absolutely be. I'm not going to speak and say like every single Black person here is going to feel as safe as I do. I would love that. But I do think that I've had a good run because I've known my lane and what was going to help me to succeed. And so it was easier for me to succeed, if that makes sense. I think you learn, and while you create your way abroad, I think a hard and we talked about this before, but a hard bit is realizing like I'm never, unfortunately, people aren't going to assume this is my home, especially when they hear me talk. Like they're not going to assume I am at home here. They're not going, and some, of course, assholes are going to assume I shouldn't be here, right? That's like very plainly, that's going to be a thing. I don't have to listen to that, and I choose not to. But once I realized that that was actually like my difference was a strength. Once I realized, wait a second, your country educated me, your country employed me multiple times. The people in your country continue to celebrate me. The people in your country continue to support me. Like, yes, there's assholes, but also this country is somewhere that not only like I feel at home, but like they've kind of said they want me. So I'm like, I'm okay. I'm okay. So there's always, that's just one thing, is like there's always going to be shit situations, but we hope that through this experience and through the transparency that you can navigate these things. And if they are to happen, you're still going to have your own back at the end of the day and know that it's not the end all be all. Have I had uncomfortable situations here? Absolutely. I will say most of those have come when I started talking about how much I love being here on the internet. And then people were like, how dare you be happy in Denmark, usually Dave. How dare you be happy in my country as well? Nah. And I'm like, okay, is that it? Um, so yeah, please. Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Not on this live because this is a whole other thing, but like ways that people can start thinking about, because everybody knows the traditional way of like, oh yeah, you're working a 9 to 5, and then you ask for a transfer to another company, which is becoming increasingly hard to do. So like figuring out ways to create an income so that way you can move abroad, or being a part of a program that allows you the space, like what Candace did, being a part of a program that teaches you the skills and then gives you the space to then try and implement those skills in that country. Like, there's a lot of ways to figure out how to um, get how to make an income abroad. Some programs will help you do that, and there's teaching visas. I'm a freelancer. I'm happy to talk about the multiple like streams of income that I'm working on. Not right now because we're trying to keep this to an hour. We're trying our best to keep this to an hour, but we're more than happy to talk about that on another live, and then do an article on that also. But it's great that you're thinking in that way, because that can potentially lead you to opportunities that like might not, like, I didn't know that there were schools that would give you their, like, that would teach you and then encourage you to find a way to work in that country so that way that you could stay indefinitely and they would pay you to do that. I learned that from talking to Candace, which means that there's more opportunities like this. And like Spain, mind you, listen, Spain is great for for certain kinds of people. I was not one of those people. But like even Spain, they recently launched this new visa that allows you to move to Spain in order to find a job there. So like there's a lot of new ways to do that, where to move abroad, and then either the income finds you or you create some steady form of income on your own, if that's something that you're interested in doing. There's ways to do that online. There's a bunch of ways to do that, but we can discuss that later on.
And I think, one, love awareness, love it, love that you're thinking about it. And I think at the same time, I think of it as like the best you can do with your privilege is use it for good. Like at the end of the day, if you are being cognizant, making sure that, you're doing what feels good to that culture, to that country, and uplifting them and adding to their resources as much as you're getting, I think that despite what other people are going to say, if you can feel good in your heart to do that, that's what you can do. And trust me, I've wrestled with this where I'm like, yeah, am I just like am I just like suckling off the teat of Denmark? Like, oh my gosh, am I? And I was like, no, by the way, I have a legal visa. So like, what do you, if you have a legal document that says you can be in that country, I don't care what you down the street, sir, says. Your country already said I can be here. So, and I know what I'm doing with my privilege. I know that I'm helping more people to build lives abroad. I know what I'm doing in my circle. I know what I give to this culture and this community. I don't need to prove that to everybody. And there will be some people, but I want you to I'm very proud and I think it's so good that you're aware of it and to not let it stop you from still building a good life for yourself somewhere abroad. But maybe looking at again, maybe that helps narrow down your list of like if there is a country that really is suffering from the Brooklynization of it, it's like, then we'll call it Brooklynization. Yes.
Or country you're in. Like, I have found that the way that I like to give back most is actually through the kind of freelance writing that I do, where I highlight small businesses, I highlight marginalized people within those countries, I highlight different food histories that open up larger conversations about connectivity, intersectionality, um, sustainability, climate change, and I highlight the people within that country that have more of an expertise on how that shows up. That's how I feel like I am best able to give back. There are other ways to do that, like, yeah, within the freelance writing space, but also, what is happening here? Sorry, this my hair is doing a bunch of things right now. But there's a bunch of other ways to do that. Sure, some through freelance writing, but others like, okay, I know that as soon as I move, I am only going to support locally owned businesses. I'm not going to find the nearest Whole Foods. I'm going to get to know my neighbors. I am going to volunteer my time. I'm going to volunteer my resources. The school is underfunded. Let me see, like, is there a way that I can donate? There's a bunch of ways that you can learn. There's a lot of ways to give back, as somebody that is not from that country. And I recognize as Black women, there's a lot that we are marginalized for. And as Americans, there's a lot that we benefit from. So there's always different ways to give back if that's something that you're interested in doing, which I think everybody should be. But I also recognize that's not everybody. Um,
Doing everything at once. We will discuss all of this during our next chapter of what happens when you get abroad. But just a point, but so important what you said, Shayna. Urban growing on the front yard of every, yeah. I basically finished. Also, I love also the conversation, the community that's happening in the comments already. So I'm just getting geeked up by that. Um, but let me look. Yeah, I think it was the same things. I think it was international major airport for easy flying in and out, not for my work, for pleasure. But also knowing I wanted to be able to have people come and visit, and I didn't want it to be like a trek for them to figure out how to get to me and vice versa. So that was a big thing. And my final thing is I want to feel safe. Shocking, controversial, insane.
my section of this specific article. Once again, head over to the Patreon, not Patreon, head over to the Substack, read the article for so much like more details and whatever. And we're going to be continuing sharing a lot more on the Substack. So definitely be a part of the community over there. It's free. It's free. You guys are great that you hopped onto the live because the lives will be going private after 24 hours. And you could only get those replays if you are a part of the Substack community. So, um, but when it comes to wanting somewhere safe, wanting to live somewhere pretty, wanting to live somewhere affordable, I think of those things as the bread and butter. I think that those are the things that everybody, yeah, like that's your like the way that wrote about it on here is a little bit more. I use like dating terms, like it's the bare minimum. Um, See you, Gwen. It's yeah, like somebody that doesn't, I don't know, murder babies. Like it's really the bare minimum of what we should be looking for. But if that's all that you're looking for, then it's going to be like, oh my God, it's going to be so hard to narrow down where I want to be. But if you're like, okay, that's a thing that I can assume everybody else wants. What are the things that are specific to me? Like, and for some people, I'm just going to use like dating framework because I think that's a thing that resonates more easily with people. Like, do you want somebody who is, I don't know, like, do you want to marry somebody that's super wealthy? Do you want to marry somebody that is, I don't know, I haven't dated in so long. I'm really bad at this.
Absolutely fair.
Figure out what is good for you specifically instead of the generalities of like, oh, well, I want to be somewhere safe and all valid, but it's not going to help you get to the answers that you actually need to get to.
Put it as the last because I was like, I want to feel safe. It's so basic, but it's, I love that you put it because it is like, it highlights the necessity and the importance of what we are doing and why we're doing it, where at the base level, we just want to feel safe. That's all. And that should not be something that is like a must have. At a base level, we just want to feel safe. And I like that you put the point of like, let's dream a little bit bigger. And I think that's where perfect segue, honestly. Again, we will say it for the last time. No, head to the Substack. We have a activity and hopefully like an exercise to help you to continue building that list. And one part of it is like, yes, get your non-negotiables, get your serious bits, get your pre-existing conditions, get all of that stuff down. And then have a cocktail, take a sip, light something up if you can legally, and let yourself dream. Like then actually think, oh my God. And like for what example, some of the questions I put in, when you wake up in the morning and you open up your window in this new dream life of you living abroad, do you want to see a beautiful lake or water and trees out your window? Or do you want to see a lush green countryside? Do you want to see tall skyscraper buildings? Do you want to smell the morning food from the bodega down the street, or from the, like, what do you want to experience actually in this life? Like, let yourself just dream a bit. What activities do you want to do during the day? How do you want to spend your evenings? Like, build that perfect day and then start taking that apart and being like, okay, well then I probably should live in the country. Oh, okay, I want to live in a community where there's a thriving sewing network. I don't get that list, and don't feel silly about putting specifics on that list, because that's what I say is like, the worst that can happen is that you get everything you want. And like or the worst is you don't get everything immediately, but you get more than you thought you could because you allowed yourself to dream a little bit bigger rather than just stop at, I want to feel safe. All right, great. There's quite a few countries you can do that. So now what? How else do you want to feel? Mhm.
Just what your ideal day in the life looks like, even if you get 80% of what is on that list, once you get there and you start exploring, because that 80% is so solid, the way that that just opens up new passions, new things that you never would have considered participating in, new kinds of community. I want to get into pottery. I've never potted before. No, there's something about it. There's something about it. And I've never wanted to before, but now I'm here and I'm like, I should be potting. Like, I want to make things. I should pot.
The level of space you don't realize is currently being occupied by just trying to survive, that once you get just into an, it's the same thing that happens on a vacation to an extent, right? You get and you're like, I can breathe, and new thoughts come, new creations come, new aspirations, ooh, new interests. And you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even have space to even think about this before. That's what happens when you get abroad. So perfectly said, Shane. It's like getting your 80%, because once you get there, then you build almost a new list, and then you get up to 100, you get past that. You have new wants, you have new wishes, and it's beautiful. So I think that's a perfect way. Potting with Shane in Thailand, that's also my goal. So hopefully we meet there. And also, lastly, before we wrap this up, Kingdom of Edits, would you rather be super rich or super smart? I have an answer: super smart, because then I can get super rich. Ah, there you go. That's what I'm saying. Is this an alternate universe where I'm starting from scratch, or I'm starting right now? Because you're right. I'm already super. Oh my gosh, Zizi, I love that. I dream of a fall and winter community jewelry, smithing, and carpentry. It's Northern Europe for me. It's giving Northern Europe. It is. It's giving Scotland, I also Denmark, like very Potter, very. I mean, we're known for our architecture. So I will say, if anybody's into art, architecture, carpentry, that stuff, Denmark, and I will say most of Scandinavia, but Denmark, really, the Danish design is. So I do know that's huge. That's huge here. Speaking of potting,
That community, thriving here. Thriving. The recreational, it is on. You will see two, minimum of two, and not like not like tiny little stores, not like that. Mm-mm. You will see what feels to me like a corner of a department store with full of all the goodies, all the fixins, sometimes food, sometimes infused, lots of flowers, lots of accessories. I said Thailand. Wait, what?
in January, like after the holidays and the whole like, yay, holiday spirit ends. January, I would move, like I would go to Portugal or like or just go back to San Diego or go to like, yeah, I would do something like just for like January and February is where it gets heinous because you're like, okay, it's still cold, but like it's not the holiday cheer anymore. So when is it spring? Like that's the worst. The fall here is ooh scrumdiddlyumptious. But summers is great because then we have the light nights and basically we have sun from like 4 a.m. to midnight. And the thotties come out. The thotties of Denmark come out. Yeah, that's when Shayna will be here. Me too, Serenity. You're hopping over. Okay, end parts. So first of all, thank you all so much. Yes, I miss San Diego. So much for this live and for the participation. And again, we just hope you are getting as much value and getting your answers, your questions to your answers, and getting inspiration. And please, again, ask the answers to your questions and the questions to your answers. Because I'm always asking. I'm always asking you to reflect, baby. I'm always going. I always have more questions. That was on both of us. That was beautifully done. No, it was definitely mixed up in there. But uh, ask us questions here in the lives. Of course, in the Substack, we'll be answering. We have a thread going. So yeah, share where you're joining from. Share if you're a night owl or a early bird, morning bird. And because of that, we will have some switches for our lives for the next 2 weeks. So next week, our beautiful Shayna is going to be on assignment somewhere in the world. Where in the world is Shayna? And so yeah, she'll write about it after the fact. But because of that and her schedule and she's working, we're going to say that the live is like a surprise. So we're going to say no live at this point. But if Shayna has the space and energy and time, then we'll hop on and we'll give as much of a notice as we can. So check out the YouTube. Shayna will be posting here. And then also we'll be posting in our Substack chat so that you can see that if we go live. And with that, I might have some working and project based things happening in my life that y'all might get me up at 4 a.m. to do these lives. Meaning we might, for our US folk that are up so early that have been rocking with us, we might be moving things to like a nighttime live. So like, what were we saying? Pacific time, it would probably be like 8 or 9. I forget. Something around there. Something around there. But we will, again, we'll keep you posted on YouTube. We'll keep you posted on Substack, how we're going to move the lives around. Again, we wanted to make sure we got as much interaction and was as easy for all of us to come here and to connect and answer questions and get all excited about moving abroad. So yes, more updates on the lives going forward, hopefully at easier times to join.
PST, which is like the California based folks, that would be 7 p.m. your time. And for the EST, New York, Virginia, all you, that's going to be about 10 p.m. your time, give or take.
I will be up at 4 a.m. I need your grace. Okay. I just already want people to know that. But other than that, again, we'll keep you posted. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for the comments. This is so amazing. Yes.
Definitely take your notes down now and then down for any reason to stay up late. Hey, take your notes now, everybody. And then definitely hop over to the Substack if you want replays, unlimited replays, and extra live content that we're going to be doing. Head on over there. I think that's everything. Okay. Bye. Bye.